Yo, what's going on? I'm Marcus, the debt-free dad. Over here, we talk finances and attorney reactions. Hey, if you're new to this channel, new to the family, I definitely invite you to subscribe, hit the bell notification, hit the like button. It'll probably be some content that you'll enjoy, get some value out of. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. It is what it is. Today, we're going to talk about inflation. Recently, an inflation report came out that showed inflation has decreased below 3% for the first time in a minute. Headline inflation is at 2.9%. But even though inflation is decreasing, we don't necessarily feel it in our pocket. So we're going to look at it. We're going to break down some of the numbers. I'm going to talk a little bit about what the Fed's plan to do with interest rates. And then we're going to close it out where I'm going to tell you how I've capitalized on in the past when interest rates have gone down. And it's something that you could consider that may be able to give you a little bit of financial relief. As always, I'm a licensed attorney, licensed in several jurisdictions. None of these jurisdictions amount to me being your counselor at law. So if you're looking for legal or financial advice, I implore you to seek a professional in your area and also check with your state licensing agency to ensure that the person who you hire is who they say they are and can do what they purport they can do. Okay, let's go ahead, take a look at this video. We're going to dive into some inflation. Let's get it.
Tonight, a big sign that help for inflation-weary consumers is on the way.
Has the U.S. beat inflation, Mr. President?
Yes. I told you we're going to have a soft landing. We're going to have a soft landing.
President Biden touting the new numbers out today showing that for the first time since March 2021, inflation has dropped below 3%. Consumer prices rose just 2.9% compared to last year. Inflation clearly retreating from the peak of just over 9% 2 years ago. And prices for airfares, used cars, and apparel are falling. And inflation at the grocery store has improved dramatically. But weary Americans like Jennifer Bryant from Arkansas say they still aren't feeling it.
I haven't noticed that.
That's because falling inflation does not mean falling prices. Grocery prices still up more than 20% over 4 years. Housing up 22%. Home insurance.
All right, let's talk about this real quick. Grocery prices. I got some numbers, okay? So you got to know the difference between headline inflation and core inflation. Headline inflation is 2.9%. Core inflation is currently 3.2% with a 0.1% decrease from the previous month. What is core inflation? What's the difference between core and headline? Well, core inflation takes out food and energy inflation costs. Now, in September, because inflation is going down, they anticipate that the Fed will actually decrease interest rate. We got about a 43% chance that they're going to decrease it by 50 basis points, which is 0.50%, and a 56% chance that they're going to decrease it to 25 basis points, which would be a decrease of 0.25%. Now, let's talk about it because they talked about food specifically, okay? And I brought up some of the numbers before we even finished the video. We're going to look at food, okay? Let's see. They're talking about housing. Let me get to these numbers before we even wrap up this video. Shelter inflation is currently 5.1%, which is only down 0.1% from the previous month. So shelter inflation isn't going down. The cost of to get a rental, to have a roof over your damn head is pretty high still. And it doesn't help that housing is generally unaffordable in the first place. Services inflation, such as hospitality things, going out to eat, services inflation is currently 4.9%. And food inflation, well, you all just heard it since 2021. I think they said it was up something crazy like 22%. But let's take a look at some of the foods that we get. You're talking about the food that are the essential foods that you need. Most of them are up substantially. Eggs up 19%, butter up 6%, meat up 3.5%, milk up 1.2%, fruit is down 0.2%, coffee down 0.4%, bread down 0.9%, and seafood down 1.9%. We're going to look at electricity when you're talking about using it in your home. It's up by 4.9%. Utilities and gas up 1.5%. No, Utility gas is up 1.5%. Actual fuel is down 2.2%. Now, the data actually expects household income to grow 3% over the next 12 months, but expenses will grow by 4%. Essentially, that means that you're in a perpetual loop of always being behind because your income isn't growing as fast as inflation. Also, the probability of missing a monthly debt payment has increased by 1% to 13.3%. Is a 13.3% chance that American households are going to miss an important debt payment because they just don't have the ends. And so I also did a video, and this is funny because now they're talking about it, and Biden and the administration is looking into it. But I also did a video some time back called How Inflation is a Scam, because inflation goes up 3.2%, 5%, 7%. But yet grocery stores in that video I did are making profits. You're talking 17, 20% profits. Why? Because they're increasing the cost of their goods more than what's needed to combat inflation, more than what's needed to combat supply chain issues that are still happening, purportedly, allegedly, from the pandemic. Let's go and finish watching this video on inflation, and then I'm going to tell y'all how you can capitalize if and when the Fed starts to lower the interest rate.
Does not mean falling prices. Grocery prices still up more than 20% over 4 years. Housing up 22%. Home insurance up nearly 15%. Auto insurance rates up 50% from 2020.
All of my bills, insurance for the home, the car, everything has gone up this year.
It's hard to know when the public's mood improves. Wages, after all, have been rising faster than inflation for 17 months now. So now all eyes are on the Federal Reserve.
We think the economy is doing okay. We don't see us going into a recession right now, and we do see the Fed starting to lower rates in September.
Cooling inflation means the Fed may start cutting interest rates, taking more pressure off family budgets.
I really think we all deserve a break, and hopefully we can reap the benefits of that.
Christine, can we talk for a second about mortgage rates? We're seeing bright spots there, even ahead of today's news.
That's right. Down to about 6.5% for the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And that is causing people to rush out and refinance. Mortgage refinancing applications up 35% last week. They're double from last year.
All right. Christine Romans, thanks so much.
Okay, so I think that's an important point, and we're going to definitely tap into that. So interest rates are likely going to be coming down at the Fed's September meeting, their November meeting, and their December meeting, if everything continues to move towards inflation overall being at 2%. Well, essentially, what that means, well, if interest rates come down, that means the rate that you're paying on your credit card debt, if you have it, which if you do, you should prioritize trying to get rid of it. But your credit card interest rates should come down, mortgage rates, auto loans. So how could you capitalize on it? I actually did a video some time ago where we refinanced a rental property that we subsequently sold, and we also refinanced our primary home that we're in currently. Now, what would I do if it were me? Interest rates are going down. The Feds are going to likely decrease interest rates next month in November and December. For me, the magic amount the interest rates needed to go down were about 1 percentage point. So if it were me in my situation, and I've done this before, I've got videos on when I sold rental properties and refinanced to decrease my mortgage. But when it was me, or if it was me in this current situation, considering that everything is trending in the right direction, I would personally wait till the end of the year to look at my refinance options. If the overall inflation continues to go down, it continues to make progress towards 2%, you'll have the decrease in September, the decrease in November, and the decrease in December. Then you can capitalize. And when you're talking about like 1 whole percentage point or 1.5 percentage points decreased on like a refinance mortgage on a car payment, that's a substantial difference. I think when we did ours, it was when like my interest rate on my home is crazy. It's like 2.2%. So I'm probably not going to move anytime soon. But I want to say we went down like 2 percentage points. We maybe went from like 4.5% to 2.2%. And it was like an $1,200 difference in what we were paying versus what we're currently paying. Now, when we make a mortgage payment, almost 65 to 70% of it is actually getting paid towards the principal, as before it was kind of flipped and inverse. So that's kind of how I would capitalize on it. If you're really focused on paying off debt, you have an option to potentially refinance high credit card debt at a lower interest rate. I mean, some people just move it from one place to another, but if you're focused on paying it off and you're strategic, you can use that to be a benefit and help you out financially by paying lower interest as you pay off that entire credit card balance. But also as an opportunity to capitalize on refinancing on your home or your vehicle, or if you have a private student loan that's at a 7, 8, 9, 10% interest rate. Those are just things to think about how you can use them. At the end of the day, hey, the main goal with your money is to be smart with it, spend less than you make, save a little for a rainy day, and make sure you're investing because your money is working for you. Every dollar is an employee, and those employees can work harder and longer than you can. You can't save your way to wealth, but you can definitely invest and plan and budget your way there. Yo, if you like this content, check out the content on the screen. There's going to be more content related to finance and attorney reactions to current events and trending news.